welcome to my channel. This is Gaming with Graham. Alright guys, my eyes are so messed up today. Well, they're not messed up, but yesterday, not last night but the night before, I went to bed probably around 9:30, 10, and I woke up at like 3:30 in the morning. I was up all day last night. I laid down. My last alarm that went off was 10:35. After that, I don't remember anything else. I slept super sound. I woke up this morning at 9:30. And there are some times, where I don't get enough sleep. But like I had a nightmare. It was about my husband. And for some reason, I just couldn't go back to sleep. As you guys know, a while back, I think it's been a year and a half, 2. I don't know. But, he committed suicide. No one understands what he was going through because he didn't share with anybody. So it's kind of hard to find out what mindset he was in. But I think in December, because December 17th is when he committed suicide. But he was there for 4 days, so he could have been dead on the 13th, I think. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, so it would be 14th. That he committed suicide. They found him on the 17th. But they had said something in his autopsy. He had no medicine, no drugs in his system, no alcohol, no nothing. And he had like these big, huge tanks of something that had either gas or something else. And he had something taped to his body where when he'd hang himself, the house would blow up. And it didn't work. Thank you, Lord, for that. Because that whole neighborhood would have been in trouble. And they said that it wasn't just one tank. It was like 3 tanks. So not only did he want to take his life, but he didn't care about the people around him. And to this day, I still don't know what he was thinking. But yeah, I still don't understand why he did it. But, there's nothing you can do after someone does that. The only thing you could think about is, like, what was he thinking? Why didn't he talk to somebody? He could have called me, my daughter, my son, my other son. He could have reached out to us, but he never did. I had changed my phone number because he was getting kind of, I don't know how to put it. Yeah, I can't even put it into words. Like, literally, I can't. But I figured I'm going to play a game today. I'm thinking Resident Evil 0. But I don't know yet. Yeah, if you're thinking of committing suicide, guys, Jesus loves you all. Jesus loves you all. You're all special to him. If you're going through a hard time, you need to talk to somebody. If you're depressed and you just don't want to get out of bed or you don't want to talk to friends and family, find a way to get, like, a psychiatrist, even if you think you're not mental. Because a lot of people, I know me, back when I worked at a restaurant, I literally passed out, and there were so many things going on in my head that I did not understand, and I was going to a doctor. I said, my arm hurts, and, I have trouble, moving it around. So they were doing chiropractic, where they pop your back or whatever. And I was feeling fantastic after that. But then other things started happening. I was passing out. I barely ever woke up to do anything. And then one doctor said, you need to go see a psychiatrist. So I was like, well, I'm not mental, but I'll go. And I was telling my psychiatrist all the things that were going on. And they diagnosed me with schizophrenia. And they also also diagnosed me with bipolar. So I have a bipolar disability. And then I have a stress disorder, where if I'm under too much stress, my blood pressure will drop. So that the medication that I take, it controls all of it. So if you're in the situation where you don't think anyone loves you, or you feel like, people are being mean to you, you have to think about it this way. If you ended up committing suicide, what would your family think? They would ask why, right? They would totally ask why you killed yourself. What happened? Was there anything they could do to help? When you commit suicide, you don't realize that those bullies out there that are telling you to kill yourself, they don't care about you, but your family does. So if you guys are having a problem with depression, anxiety, anything that you feel that's just not you, it's like you feel like you're not in your own body. So I'm saying right now, even if you don't think you're mental, just go see a psychiatrist. Find out. You never know. It's not like you're going to go to a psychiatrist and they're going to judge you. That's not what they're there for. They are very helpful when you're having problems. Sometimes people get anxiety just going to school. I know I did. I had really bad anxiety when I had to go to school. And I was always having problems in school, to the fact of I'd pass out, or I would get super hot and just be like, raise my hand, teacher, I don't feel so. And then I'm down on the floor, which I don't know what I'm doing. And then my son, both my boys, Wisconsin was giving me way too much medication, and I started having seizures, and they couldn't figure out why. So my psychiatrist kept giving me more medication, and the more medication she gave me, the more seizures I had. When my grandbaby was born in 2015, we moved here January 2016. We signed the lease on the 15th of January. So my boys were in Beloit, Wisconsin. That's where we lived, in the hick town. There was no mall. The only place that was fun was Walmart, and GameStop, of course. They had Shopko, and they had the Kmart closed. That was when my oldest son.
Shopko's now closed.
Okay, now Shopko's closed. Okay. So now the only fun place is Walmart. Walmart and GameStop. I know they didn't close. They get too much business in Beloit. But yeah, when we moved here in 2016, it was February after we had moved in. And I wasn't able to get a doctor yet in Illinois. And I don't know why I didn't think of it, to make sure I can find a doctor, make sure all my meds. I just kept taking my meds like I was supposed to, thinking that, Walgreens here would fill them all up. And it didn't work that way. February, I know it was Super Bowl Sunday. I think that's when they have football, right? Super Bowl Sunday. But anyways, I started having issues. I was seeing things that weren't there. And, it was fine at first. And then it got really violent. They were telling me that they were going to blow up the house. They said that they were going to set fire to the house and kill my family. Yeah, my son and my daughter said I was hitting myself in my head, which I don't remember. But when they got me to the hospital, I kept screaming to them, "You need to go check my family. They're in trouble." And I'm not exactly sure what they said, but I know they gave me more medicine, and I kind of conked out. I'm not sure how long I conked out, and then I came to and started screaming again. And then they conked me out again. So I remember a nurse saying we didn't give her enough, and then they gave me the medicine, and the next thing you know, I was in the mental hospital. And I was voluntary. I never, denied help. Anytime like the cops came to my house and I was depressed and I was angry and all that stuff. And usually when they take me to the mental hospital, I'd agree. I would say, okay, fine, I'll go. Because a lot of people, they refuse treatment. They don't want to be treated. They don't think anything's wrong with themselves. Never fight it. If a police officer or someone in your family knows you need help and you haven't sought counseling for whatever you have, whatever problems, when you decide to take it in your own hands, that's when people are like, well, I told you to go to a psychiatrist. Why didn't they go? Because they're scared. They think that the psychiatrist is going to judge them. And the psychiatrist, all they do is sit there and listen to what you have to say. Now, a lot of times, my son, my youngest, he went to his psychiatrist and he just sat there the whole time. He barely ever talked. And I was trying to get him to say something, and he would answer once in a blue moon. And I wasn't sure what was going on. And when we got done, he's just like, I don't like talking to anybody. I really don't, Mom. I hate talking to people. I don't know why. I can't. So I was talking to my other son, and he said he was the same way. When he first went in and was talking to a psychiatrist, he didn't talk at all. She'd ask him questions. He'd be like, uh-huh. No. Uh-huh. No. So, but he said after a while when he kept going, he started opening up a little bit more, the problems he started having. And then they were able to get him to the right doctor, get him on the right medication. Now, because I'm mental, my son was mental. My husband was mental. He had some mental issues too. I'm not sure what his were. I think one was the anger management, which is probably a stress disorder, or bipolar. But I think the one reason why my husband killed himself is because he couldn't do anything. He couldn't get a job because he went to prison for 10 years. He was on probation for 5. He had one more year to be off probation, and he couldn't even make it that far. I think the one thing that broke his heart is his mom died a year before he killed himself. When I was in the hospital, they had to put padding around my bed because I had seizures. They took me off all my medication that night, and I went to bed, and the next my son's peeking around the corner. You guys do not know how silly my son is. Holy crap. He's always making me laugh. If I'm having a bad day, he lights my smiles every single day. And I noticed that with a lot of people say, oh, you don't need the medication. You just need Jesus. That's true, but it's not true. a lot of people think, oh, you got mental illness. Well, you need to worship the Lord and you'll be healed. Well, there's a lot of things that God can do, and there's a lot of things you have to do. So I go to a psychiatrist. Now, I do Zoom because I don't want to go in because the doctor is super far away. And I don't want to change doctors because I like the doctor I have now. But, if I have to go to my appointment, usually when I schedule an appointment, if they literally say I can't do Zoom anymore, then I'll have to make sure I have money every month, or I just hop on my bike and ride all the way there, which is pretty far. It would probably take me almost 2.5 hours to get there on bike. So, but yeah, if you guys are having mental issues, like I said, even if they want to send you to the mental hospital, it's not a fun place, that's for sure. I won't say it's roses. I mean, the kids, my son went to the mental hospital when he was, 10 or 11? Okay, he was 12 when he went to the mental hospital. He was hearing voices on killing his family, killing people at school, and killing himself. So I called the police. They came over, they talked to him, then they talked to me, and they said, we need to send your son to a psychiatric hospital for children. And I was like, wait, what? And they're like, do you got a car? And I said, no, I don't have a car. And so they had to get a cab. We had to ride like 2 hours, I think, or no, hour and a half to the psychiatric hospital. I had to sign all the papers, get him, evaluated. And then I wanted to go in and say goodbye, and they said, no, you can't. And I was just like, why? And they're like, we already got him settled. We don't want him to start crying and cling on to you and say, Mom, don't leave me here, because right now he's upset. He's scared. He doesn't know what's going on. And, when they told me just go, when we're done with everything and you come back, you can pick him up, and, here's the number. You can call us, to talk to him. I was like, okay. I got in that cab, guys, and I cried. I literally bawled. And the cab driver, he was super cool. He's like, I know how hard it is, and, just have faith. Well, I seriously didn't start reading the Bible because I thought, I don't understand it. Why read it? That's not true. If you read it, you understand it more and more. My son's being a robot. Come here, robot. It. This is what my son's doing. Like I said, my son is hilarious. Oh, wrong. He ran away. And the reason why a lot of times when I reach back, I end up poking him in the eye or accidentally hitting him or something. So, yeah, my son also can do voices. He can do Mickey Mouse, Pennywise, Scooby-Doo, Shaggy. What else can you do? That's practically about it. Yeah, my son can do all sorts of voices. But, yeah, so if you need help, and if someone is being mean or you're being bullied, find something else. Find something to do that gets your mind off that. I know a guy, actually he was a 12-year-old kid. He went to school and he had cancer. And kids were making fun of him and saying, get away from us, you have cancer, you're contagious. Cancer's not contagious, guys. It's not a disease that spreads like COVID. But, he was getting bullied, like, really bad. He said it was so bad that his friends even turned away from him. So, he took up violin lessons and decided, well, they're going to be a bully. I'm going to do something else. And he got himself active in music. And it literally saved his soul, like his life, everything. And now he plays the violin like a champ. And he's only 12. And you know, a lot of people that, you know, think killing themselves would be the answer. What do you think God would think about that if you're taking your own life? You know, don't you think that would make him cry or be sad? I don't know for sure, but I'm not positive, but I think people that take a life is like murder in the Bible, of course. Because in the Bible, it's like, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not steal, and thou shalt not kill. So if you kill yourself, your chance of going to heaven, I don't know. You know, I can't say you'll go to heaven. I can't say you'll go to hell. Now, Mormons, they believe in heaven, purgatory, and hell. No, there's only heaven and hell. There's so many good movies out there about Jesus. Now, me and my son watched hold up, let me think here. The Passion of Christ. And literally, I couldn't tell you why and how. I mean, I seen Jesus, how tortured he was. And I can't believe he did that. I mean, he did that to save us all. And it's just like mind-boggling, you know. How could he go through all that just for our sins? What? You know, you're just thinking, how in the world could someone ever do that to save us? And the reason why God made Jesus is so God could realize what humans feel. And I think that's why Jesus came, is because God wanted to know what humans felt. Because I don't think he knew. He did, but he didn't. I mean, don't quote me. I'm not like a biblical scholar or anything like that. But, yeah, if you're having a hard time, just know Jesus is right there. He's trying to hold your hand, and you just need to accept that hand and say, okay, I do need help. I do need to talk to somebody. I do need to have counseling so I can talk about the bullies at school. So I can talk about my friends being bullies, or I can talk about great things. You know, I just got a new bike and I like to ride it, and it's not just bad things for a psychiatrist. You can talk about everything. Like, I talked about my dreams. I used to have nightmares that my boys got taken by aliens. I also had dreams about my kids were stolen by Terminators. The story that I have about Terminators was one night I was out without my medicine. And I said, well, if I'm going to have another night, I need to go home, get the meds, grab them, bring them back to the other place that we were at, which was my husband, my daughter, and my two boys. And some guy and the girl that he was, the 12-year-old. Yeah, we won't get into that discussion. But yeah, so, I was on my way home to get my meds, and I was walking and I turned my head and some guy had a red eye. So literally, now when I was growing up, I thought Terminators and the end times and all this other stuff was true. Because my parents blocked me from news, from knowing what goes on in the world, which I thought was kind of good, but also kind of bad. Because if a kid gets a cell phone nowadays, they're going to see all the bad stuff. And they're going to be like, oh, okay, so people are doing it. That's cool. No, it's not cool. My grandbaby, she's 8, and she said that she wants a cell phone. And I told her, I said, no. I said, absolutely not. I don't want you to have cell phone. She's like, why? Then I can call you, Nana, anytime I want. And then I can talk to Mom and Tim and TT and Gigi. And I'm like, yeah, Ubu, that's fantastic. but you shouldn't be able to go on any sites. Anything on your phone needs to be locked. And she's like, are you talking about Facebook and Twitter? And I said, yes, and TikTok. And she's like, oh, no one lets me watch TikTok. I said, good, because when you start watching that stuff, it poisons your mind. And she's like, poisons? Huh? And I said, in other words, they do things, they say things that aren't real or aren't true. I know a lot of kids that get bullied on Facebook or school websites or TikTok, and it kind of scares me that she would end up getting a cell phone at her age. But it could also be a good thing. Long as, her mom is very good at knowing what to have on her tablet or on her computer. I don't know if she has a tablet, but I know she has a TV. And she has like Netflix and YouTube, and her mom blocks all that stuff. So I would imagine, if she gets a phone, she's totally gonna be able to block all that. But I told her, I said, a lot of times you're in elementary school and you make all these friends and you think, wow, we're gonna be friends forever. But then when you go into high school, everything changes. Or junior high, sorry. A lot of girls that I knew in elementary school, well, we had to move. So I was very upset because when we moved to Beloit, Wisconsin, I was angry. I was so frustrated because I had no clue what was going on in the world. And so when I was seeing things I didn't understand, I kind of blew it off like, oh, okay, so that's normal, But I never questioned it. I never asked my parents, well, why is this and why is that? And for some reason, I felt like I couldn't communicate with my parents as much as I wanted to. And, when I was watching Stranger Things, I seen the connection with Dustin's mom and Lucas's mom. But Mike and his mom didn't have that connection. They didn't, they didn't have that connection. It was more like just, Mom, stop, But Lucas and Dustin, they both had fantastic, fun, down-to-earth people. And, kids that don't have that notion of love and goofing around and being funny and making the kids laugh, you have to do that. You can't just be a stern parent and say, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. Because kids nowadays, they need someone that is going to make fun, make funny jokes and, laugh at stuff. A kid tells a story and even if it's not funny, say, oh my goodness, that was hilarious. Where do you come up with these things? And for little kids, that's a reward, even if it wasn't funny. Now, if you notice if a baby, is in her little swing or whatever, and you're like, a-dooba-dooba-dooba, 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 doop-doop-doop-doop, they're going to laugh. My son literally got his guitar, which he doesn't have anymore because he doesn't know how to play it. But he has his guitar, and my grandbaby is one of those little jump spin things. It had like a rocking part all around. I don't know what you call it, but she would sit in that, and my son would just sit there on the guitar and just start singing, I'm home, Alabama, just being goofy. My grandbaby just loved it. It didn't matter if he was silly or goofy. A lot of times he would pretend to run into the wall and be like, ooh, and she just would laugh so hard. Um, my son, oh my gosh, he'd be the best parent ever. Unless it has to do with like dishes or vomit. Even like if I'm cleaning out the sink and I got the little strainer thingy and I'm putting it in the trash, he'll go, you know. I don't know how you do it, but yeah. But I mean, if you need help with suicide, there's so many. You know, you could call 911 and just tell them you're having issues and you know you need help. And they'll try to get you your help. Even if they send you to a mental hospital, you're getting help. It doesn't matter if you're mental or not. If you're having depression and you're having suicidal thoughts, call anyone. Either a family member, have them come over, have them talk to you. Someone close that you can trust and that you get along great with. Now, everybody doesn't have that support system. Because I know for a fact my girlfriend that I had a long time ago is not like girlfriend type thing. But she was my best friend. And I went and stayed the night at her house. And she lived up above a bar. And I was like, why can't we go downstairs, man? They got music and everything. We can go down there and dance. And she's like, we can't. And I was like, why not? She said, because they serve alcohol. I said, what in the world's alcohol? I had no clue. Like, I didn't know any of it. And I said, what's alcohol? And she's like, you got to be joking me, right? And I was like, no. She's like, you have no clue what alcohol is. I'm like, no, my parents never said anything to me about it. And she's like, what in the world do they have you living in? A fantasy world? And I was like, well, I don't know. She's like, what are you allowed to watch? Not allowed to watch the news. Not allowed to watch violent R-rated movies. She's like, what else? I said, I'm not allowed to fight with my sister. If I do, I have to go to my room. She's like, good golly, Miss Molly. I said, what? She's like, dude, I'm glad I don't have your life. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, I would rather live up here and deal with my mom than have to not watch rated R movies and not be able to drink alcohol. And I told her, I said, well, what is alcohol and what does it do? She said, it makes you feel good. And I'm like, oh, okay, you know. And so I was like, well, let's watch a movie. So she's like, okay. And I wanted to watch Mrs. Doubtfire. And she's like, no. She's like, let's watch something rated R. And I looked at her and I says, I'm not allowed to watch rated R. She said, well, you're at my house and now you're allowed. I said, well, what are we going to watch? She's like, Terminator. I was like, that's rated R? I heard it was like an action movie. She said, yeah, it is. But it's got sex scene. And she said that a lot of times they put rated R because it's violent, you know, guns and explosions. And I was like, oh, okay. So we watched it. And literally when the guy was like using that scissors or whatever it was, and he was messing with his eye, I was just like, I'm not looking. Yuck, 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 yuck. And then later on, you could hear her mom, and she shuts the movie or turns it down and stops the tape. And I was like, what's going on? And she's like, shh. She's like, we got to be quiet, otherwise my mom and her boyfriend will come in here and start yelling at us. I was like, wait, what? She's like, yeah. When she comes home with her boyfriend, don't say a word because he'll come in here and start beating you with a belt. And I was like, what? Are you serious? And she's like, yeah, shh, just be quiet. And we waited about a half hour, and then we finally didn't hear anything. She pushed play on the movie, and all of a sudden someone just walked in the room, and it was this guy, and he was like super tall, a little chunky, not too chunky, And he looks at both of us and he says, "So what you guys wearing?" And I'm like, "I'm wearing pajamas." And he's like, "Ooh, you look sexy." And I was like, I looked at her like, what's going on? And so she screams at him, and her mom comes in and grabs him and pulls him away. And I was like, what was that about? And she says, "We need to go to bed." I was like, okay, but weren't we going to watch the movie? She said, "We can watch the rest tomorrow." I was like, okay. We went to sleep. We woke up in the morning, and her mom and her mom's boyfriend slammed a plate on the table because he said that his eggs were raw or something. And they got a huge fight. And me and Becky, we left. We literally just... The mom's like, "You guys want anything for breakfast?" And Becky's like, "No, Mom, we're fine." And we left. And, oh, that's to tell me I've talked way too much. But, yeah, we left, and I never spent the night at her house again. So, but I asked her, I said, "Will your mom let you stay the night at my house?" And she's like, "You know what? I'm going to ask my mom. I want to check out how your family is." I said, okay. So, I think it was the next weekend, I asked her to come over. And I said, make sure you bring your pajamas and, maybe bring a movie that's not R-rated. And she brought Terminator 2. And we were downstairs, and my mom's like, "You guys want to play Monopoly or Sorry?" And she looks at my mom and says, "What's that?" And I'm like, "You've never played Monopoly?" And she's like, no. She's like, "What's Monopoly?" And I said, "Oh, girl, you have missed out on so much." So I taught her how to play Monopoly, taught her how to play Clue, Sorry, Connect Four. She was having so much fun. And my mom says, "Okay, you guys got to settle down now. It's getting late." And I said, "Hey, Mom, can I have your permission to watch this movie?" So she comes over, she grabs the movie. "What is it?" I said, "It's Terminator 2. And she said, "Oh, there's a 1? And I said, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, why didn't you bring 1? Because I have to watch it first." And Becky says, "Oh, it's okay. She could shut her eyes in the scary stuff." And my mom says, "Okay, well, if you have nightmares, don't come coming into my room telling me you can't sleep." I was like, "Okay, Mom." We watched Terminator. I loved it. I thought Terminator 1 was seriously an understatement of just icky. I did not like part 1 at all. But part 2, just wow. I was just like, holy cow. And I don't remember sex scenes, I don't remember any of that. And I absolutely love that movie. And then it was morning time. We woke up, and my mom was already up. My mom would get up at like 5 in the morning, cook everybody breakfast. And when we woke up, my mom says, "Oh, you guys are up." And I think it was like 11. And Becky's rubbing her eyes, and she's like, "What time is it?" And she's like, "Oh, it's around 10:30, 11. And Becky looks at me, "Oh no." And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "I slept too long." And it's like, "Why wouldn't you sleep too long?" She says, "I'm not supposed to sleep till 11. I'll get in trouble." And I said, "We're at my house." And she's like, "Oh yeah, that's right." And my mom kind of looks at her, "What do you mean you get in trouble if you get up at 11? And she says, "Well, I'm supposed to go to bed by midnight, 1 o'clock, and then I have to get up by 10. And my mom's like, "Here, if it's not a school night and, you're able to stay up as long as you want, and you don't have a set time to get up. But if you have school or you have things that you have to do like chores, dishes, whatever, then you have to wake up somewhat early, but not like super early." My mom would usually wake us all up at like 10:30, 11. But when we went into the kitchen, she's like, oh my goodness, what smells so good? And my mom says, I made breakfast. Do you want scrambled or do you want sunny side up? She's like, what's sunny side up? I said, well, it's cooked, but the top part, when you put it over hash browns, it's runny and you can eat it with your hash browns. It's really good. She's like, okay, can I have scrambled and sunny side? And my mom's like, yeah, sure. So my mom made her scrambled eggs and one sunny side up. And my mom gave us the hash browns, and I said, this is what you do. You take the hash brown, and you dip it in the egg, and you eat it. She said it was the best thing she's ever tasted in her entire life. I couldn't believe that she had never had eggs and bacon or sausage or any of that. And I'm just like, I really wish you could stay here forever. And she's like, yeah, me too. And when she got to be 17, we were both in ROTC. I know I've talked way too long. We were in ROTC, and she ended up signing up for the military. And when she was 17 and it was the end of school, she went to boot camp. And then after boot camp, she came back. And I was so excited that she came back. I was really happy to see her. I found her in the mall. She was in the mall. I didn't even know she was back. And I asked her, I said, how you doing? She says, I'm doing great. I'm having fun shopping. She's like, how are you doing? I said, I'm doing fantastic. And she's like, we need to talk. And I said, uh-oh. She doesn't want to be my friend anymore. She looks at me and she said, don't go into the military. I was like, why? She's like, you shouldn't. And I was like, what's wrong with the military? And she said, it was bad. And I'm just like, what do you mean? And she said, now you guys got to realize this was the 90s. And she told me, she said, they pick on the women really bad. Like, they treat us horrible. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, us women are treated like we're delicate. We can't do this because men can do it better, but girls can't. So they treated them like they couldn't do what men did. So it really upset her a lot. And I said, well, why'd you go into the military? And she said, you seen my mom, you seen my life. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, I didn't want to be around that life anymore. I seen what your life was, and I wanted your life. And I was like, wow. Like, I never thought one of my best friends would say my life was better. I was very, very lucky. I was a gift for my mom and dad. You know, I never thought I would ever say this about my mom and dad. Now, my mom, she was stern. But she was so kind and so silly and so funny. You know, I could talk to her about everything. But my dad, I zoned away from my dad. I didn't care too much for my dad as much as I did my mom. But when I got older, I kind of got rebellious and started listening to the wrong music. And my son's screaming in the other room. He's playing Resident Evil 4, guys. So, Random Gamer 56, he's playing Resident Evil 4 now. So, if you guys don't like my channel, and you guys are tired of hearing me tell stories, I would like you guys to go visit my son at Random Gamer 56. 1, his edits are awesome. 2, his reactions are priceless. And 3, it's so funny when he gets scared. I love when he gets scared. So I guess that'll be about it today, guys. I might play a game later. It'd probably be VR, but I'm not sure because my eyes are like kind of bleh today. You don't want to play VR if you're having issues, you know, with your eyes. I think it's the fact of my eyes ain't watering enough. So I don't know. But I'm hoping to play a game later for you guys. If not, I'll be doing something else. I got a bunch of stuff I have to do today. So I hope you guys enjoyed the storytelling time. If you guys have any questions, leave comments below, guys. And I will check you guys next time. This is Grandma signing out. Adios, amigos. Deuces. Amém.